In a heavyweight showdown between two of the UK's brightest rising stars, Fabio Wardley and Clarke had a knockdown, bloody affair when they met on Sunday, March 31st. Let's talk about this heavyweight bout, the outcome, and what may be next. Sunday, March 31st marked a big date in boxing history for the UK and heavyweights Fabio Wardley and Big Clarke. These two gentlemen who are seeking to take that next step in the level of competitive heavyweights to see whom may be able to challenge for a world title, possibly by the year's end or early next year. When we see that these two men, young in their careers, though Clarke be 30 years of age and Wardley be 28, these two men have the type of personality and disposition that begs challenges in their lives. And when they came together at the O2 Arena, that's exactly what they did. They incited the crowd and they showed exactly who they were, both men. The fight ended in a draw, but they were quick to draw blood from one another. They were quick to be competitive, and not in a hateful grudge match sense, but more of a competitive, I feel I'm the better guy. I'm going to move you out of my path so I may go forward with my ambitions. And Wardley, surprisingly, took the fight to Big Fraze immediately. Now Fraze, who is the 2020 Olympic super heavy bronze medalist, was taking on Wardley, who was a fighter who came into the fight with a record of 17 wins and no losses, and now he has one draw. Big Fraze came in and his battle record was of the ilk that showed that he was 8-0 with 6 knockouts, and now with one draw. He pounded on Wardley's body. He tried to take him out with strength and power, but Wardley had enough of an aggression within himself that there were often times that he found himself backing Big Fraze up, who was a couple of stone heavier than he, but it was the way that Wardley, his inner spirit, his fighting spirit, it precedes everything else. And I'm going to tell you, there are not a lot of fighters who put that on display in this current era of the state of the game. Fraze recognized that once they started exchanging. Though he's a big man and solid with his punches and power, he was not able to deter anything from Wardley. But one thing that did come to fruition in this battle was the fact that this nose abrasion that Wardley has on the bridge of his nose, it became a huge factor in the fight. I don't know if that is something that was sustained or reopened in his sparring, but we saw it when he went into his fight against David Adelaide. And in this fight, Fraze's hammer fist jab was able to pound him and open it up more, and his face became a bloody mask as a result of it, and it made it difficult for Wardley to breathe. He saw himself swelling about the eyes, particularly the right eye, and if you blow your nose and you have swelling around the eyes, it can make the eyes swell up and swell shut. So Wardley needed to guard against that, and Frazier was trying to work hard on the inside with him. But Wardley was more anxious to try to get something done. Neither fighter had been 12 rounds before, and it was going to be a huge task for these two men with the output that they gave toward one another. They were battling, and we saw that Wardley was able to put him down. It was an interesting thing because as he had landed a series of right hands against Big Fraze, Fraze was backing up, and then his legs just gave out on him and he went down. But he wasn't that much hurt, as he was a little fatigued and dazed. So he got to his feet, he weathered the storm, and he got back into the fight. But man, were these two men battling. I mean, it was back and forth. They were just strong enough to hurt one another, but neither had the type of power to put the other guy away. I believe that these two can face off again in the future, but it shouldn't be right away. They need to seek other dragons out to slay and to learn more from this experience. But they grew up big time, the two of them. And I admire young fighters who want to get in the ring and challenge and test themselves against quality opposition amongst their peers. The hat should always be off for these two men for doing so. There are a number of fighters in the world that are even current title holders who have never been tested and challenged by another as these two men did with one another. And it speaks volumes about who they are as men and their abilities that they execute. Fabio doesn't have the type of amateur background and upbringing like Big Fraze has, and Big Fraze hasn't had the number of fights under his belt that Fabio has. And it just goes to show that though you might be white collar in boxing, not with that blue collar background, that doesn't mean that you can't place yourself in a favorable position. Fraze was deducted a point for a low blow, but that seemingly was something that the referee had warned him that he had told him to keep it up, and it seemed to come out of nowhere, but that could have been the difference. The fight ended up being a split decision draw, but these two men soldiered through it, and the O2 Arena was happy and on fire as a result of their performance. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know your thoughts about Big Fraze taking on Fabio Wardley and what should be next for the two men. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.